Absolutely. Kitcaster was a result of my co-founder Brandy and I, and our relationship. So at the time, I had a podcast called Denver Business Podcast, and I had an agency, a go-to-market agency here in Denver. And Brandy was also here in Denver and had a PR agency, and she would pitch her clients to my podcast, and it was great. So we clicked, and I just thought the service that she was providing me was extraordinary. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I don't even have to try. You're just bringing people to my doorstep. I loved it. So we were, kind of getting lunch, and we're like, let's see if there's a product here. Like maybe we can productize this, so we kind of invented the category, that we didn't know which tools to use. We didn't know where we could find the information. And a couple of things kind of came together quickly. We tried Pipedrive at first, and we're like, nah. HubSpot ended up being a good tool for us for what we were working on, you know. So from the beginning, because both of us had independent companies and we're kind of lifelong startup people, we're like, oh, well, we're obviously going to build this to sell this. What we're going to do is do one thing, be the best in the world at it, and then find somebody who sees this as a great addition to their larger agency. And we made that rule early on because both of us had experience in the agency world where what you end up doing is just following the dollar sign. So if you got an SEO agency and one of your clients is like, hey, can you do social media? You're like, sure. Okay. And you do social media. They're like, hey, can you do app, optimization? You're like, absolutely, we can. And now you're just like spread out. You end up with 12 different clients with 12 different services you're doing for them. You're spread so thin, your head's about to explode. What I wanted to do, and also you end up with like 3 or 4 really big clients that are like 80% of your business, and you're totally leveraged to them. And in my experience, companies that see that leverage, they use it to their advantage and can be, we'll say, distasteful. So I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're doing one thing. We're going to get lots of clients around that one thing. We're going to become the absolute best in the world, and then we're going to sell the company. So, we closed the deal in April, and probably about 6 months prior to that, we're like, okay, you know what? This feels like a good time. We got a business broker, and started shopping around. We had probably 5 or 6, letters of intent, and from different, whether it was private equity or we had individual operators. I felt kind of bad. There was one gal that we didn't even take her LOI, but she was like, she was looking for like getting a loan and wanted to pick up an agency. And she was like, yeah, I want to operate it. And I was like, well, have you had any experience in an agency? And she's like, no. And I was like, oh, my darling, you do not want to do this. You do not want any part of this. So thank you, but no thanks. Yeah. So we ended up with, 5 or 6 LOIs, Oberst being the strongest contender for a lot of reasons, largely because they're very, very good, very, very respected in what they do. And they could see the immediate value add that we brought. It's been an absolute, just like perfect match. I love working with Moburst and working for them. They're my boss now, which feels pretty wild to have a boss after 15 years. That being said, I'm also a partner in the company. But it's a much larger organization. So I have, a direct report, which is also great. So, it ended up working out almost to script how we planned it from day one. And it took about 5 years to get there.
Wow. That's not a long time. So I suppose when you're talking about growing really quickly, you knew what you're talking about, because 5 years to build something, scale it and sell it for what I imagine for good money, it's not child's play, I would imagine.
Very exciting and very, very satisfying for that to happen. And largely because it comes out of the ashes of so many broken projects and losses, just one loss after the other for years. But again, it comes down to that kind of sense of experimentation, which is what I'm all about, which is like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about that? And I think I probably learned that from music. When I was a musician, I released 3 records, and one of them did pretty good in college radio and stuff. And the songs that were really good were actually nothing like the other songs that we made, because I was kind of like, I think a little bit too artsy, thinking like, you're going to get what I want to give you, as opposed to being like, what do you like? I'll do more of that. If I had a chance to go back, I would have made just like shiny sounding pop songs that everyone liked. I could put a weird bridge in there if I needed to for myself, but what are you doing? So business gives you this opportunity, like, hey, go out there and build something that people like. If they don't like it, just switch, find what they do,